We do it this way because you've never met her before.
Never met her.
Well, then I'm going to ask you to leave for a few moments, and we'll want to bring her out, let the audience meet her, and then we can both observe you two meeting, which will be a nice moment in your life. Okay?
He was the man who made chaos into daytime entertainment, fistfights, shocking secrets, and a live studio audience chanting his name. Jerry Springer became a global phenomenon, the king of so-called trash TV. But here's the contradiction. Behind the outrageous persona was a thoughtful man, a former lawyer, a politician, even a mayor, and above all, a father. Born in London during World War II to Jewish parents who had fled the Nazis, Jerry's life story was already one of survival and resilience. That resilience carried into his career, from politics to broadcasting, and ultimately to The Jerry Springer Show, which by the 1990s was drawing millions of viewers every day. But off camera, Jerry Springer was a devoted dad to his only daughter, Katie. While the world laughed, gasped, or criticized what happened on his stage, Jerry was quietly making sure Katie had the love, stability, and protection she needed. He once admitted, "When you have a child with special needs, you stop worrying about nonsense. You learn what really matters." So what really happened to Jerry Springer's daughter? How did she grow up in the shadow of one of television's most controversial figures? And where is she now? Jerry Springer's story didn't begin in Hollywood, or even in the United States. It began in the middle of a war. He was born Gerald Norman Springer on February 13th, 1944, in Highgate, London, inside a makeshift bomb shelter in a London underground station. While air raid sirens blared above, his parents, Margot and Richard Springer, welcomed their son into a world full of uncertainty. They were Jewish refugees from Germany, having fled the Nazi regime just in time. Many of their relatives never escaped. Jerry would later reflect that members of his family perished in the Holocaust, a tragedy that haunted him but also gave him, in his words, a responsibility to value every single human life. When Jerry was just 5, the Springers immigrated to the United States, settling in Queens, New York. His father worked in a shoe shop and his mother as a bank clerk. The family was modest, but full of determination. Jerry excelled in school, eventually graduating from Tulane University and then earning a law degree from Northwestern. Politics called to him early, not because he craved power, but because he felt a duty to improve the lives of others. By the early 1970s, Springer had launched his political career in Cincinnati, Ohio. He became known for his sharp intelligence, quick wit, and approachable style. In 1977, he was elected mayor of Cincinnati. And if you are into classic Hollywood icons, amazing stories, and newly discovered insights, then hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers, and your support will mean a lot to our channel. While he served only 1 year, his impact was remembered. Colleagues described him as a man who could walk into a room and make everyone feel like they mattered. Springer himself once said, "I wasn't born with fame, I wasn't born with money. What I was born with was empathy. Maybe that's the most important gift of all." After politics, Jerry found a second career in broadcasting. He became a respected news anchor in Cincinnati, winning regional Emmy Awards for his thoughtful commentaries. Then came 1991, when The Jerry Springer Show premiered. At first, the show aimed to be a serious talk program, featuring politicians, social issues, and current events. But as ratings lagged, producers pushed the format into more sensational territory. Family secrets, explosive confrontations, and jaw-dropping revelations. The audience grew dramatically. By the mid-1990s, The Jerry Springer Show had become an international sensation, often surpassing Oprah in daytime ratings. Viewers tuned in not just for the drama on stage, but for Jerry's closing words at the end of every episode: "Take care of yourself and each other." Those simple words became his signature, a reminder that even in the middle of the chaos, Springer never lost sight of his humanity. Yet, while the world knew him as the ringmaster of daytime TV mayhem, Jerry himself lived quietly. He protected his family, especially his daughter Katie, from the glare of the cameras. He rarely spoke about his private life in interviews, once telling a reporter, "Television is my job. Being a dad, that's my life." Behind all the flashing cameras and roaring studio audiences, Jerry Springer's most important role was much quieter: being a dad. Jerry married Mickey Velton in 1973, and together they welcomed their only child, Katie Springer, in 1976. For Jerry, her arrival changed everything. He later said, "Nothing on television, no career success, compares to the moment you hold your child for the first time." Katie was born with significant health challenges. She was legally blind, deaf in one ear, and faced mobility issues that required several surgeries throughout her childhood. But Jerry never saw her disabilities as limitations. He once said, "She's the best thing I've ever done, and she's stronger than I'll ever be." Unlike her father's larger-than-life television presence, Katie grew up away from the spotlight. Jerry was fiercely protective of her privacy, making sure the chaos of his career didn't spill into her life. At home, he was not the man refereeing brawls on stage. He was the father helping with homework, attending doctor's appointments, and cheering her on as she overcame obstacle after obstacle. Katie herself has spoken about her upbringing with warmth. In a rare interview, she shared, "My dad was always there. He never let the fame get in the way of family. To me, he's not Jerry Springer, the TV host. He's just Dad, the one who believed in me when no one else did." Her childhood was marked by resilience, shaped both by her own strength and by the unwavering support of her parents. Jerry and Mickey, despite eventually divorcing, remained united when it came to Katie, working together to ensure she had every opportunity to thrive. Katie grew up to embrace life fully, graduating from Barat College in Illinois, where she studied special education. Inspired by her own journey, she dedicated herself to teaching children with disabilities, saying, "I know what it's like to need someone to believe in you. That's what I want to give my students." As Katie Springer grew into adulthood, she carried with her not only the lessons from her father, but also an extraordinary strength shaped by her own journey. Living with disabilities never stopped her from dreaming big or achieving her goals. After college, Katie became a teacher, specializing in working with children who faced challenges similar to her own. She once explained, "I wanted to give back. I know what it's like to feel different, to be underestimated. If I can help a child believe in themselves, then I've done my job." Her work in education has been widely admired by colleagues and parents alike. She has been described as compassionate, patient, and deeply committed to her students' growth. One of her co-workers once said, "Katie doesn't just teach, she inspires. She reminds these kids that no matter the obstacles, they can still write their own stories." Katie has also been active in philanthropic causes, often participating in events supporting disability awareness and inclusive education. Though she avoids the limelight, she has occasionally spoken at conferences, always emphasizing the importance of empathy, resilience, and opportunity. Despite her desire for privacy, Katie has sometimes shared how proud she is of her father. In one heartfelt moment, she said, "People will always remember my dad for the show, but I'll remember him as the man who tucked me in at night, who told me I was enough, and who taught me that kindness is what really matters." Today, Katie lives a quiet, meaningful life, far removed from the chaos of daytime television. She has built a career that reflects both her personal experiences and the values her father instilled in her. She has chosen not to step into the world of show business, but instead to dedicate her life to service and education, carrying forward Jerry Springer's true legacy of empathy, even if in a very different way. In April of 2023, Jerry Springer passed away at the age of 79 after a brief battle with pancreatic cancer. The news sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and among fans worldwide. For decades, Jerry had been a household name, sometimes controversial, often misunderstood, but always unforgettable. The tributes poured in immediately. Fellow television host Maury Povich said, "Jerry was a pioneer. He knew how to connect with people, no matter who they were." Behind the spectacle, there was a man of deep compassion, broadcaster Piers Morgan added. He was one of the most intelligent, self-aware men in television. Jerry never took himself too seriously, and that's what made him so beloved. Even former colleagues who worked on The Jerry Springer Show shared their memories. One longtime producer said, "People saw chaos on stage, but behind the scenes, Jerry was the calm in the storm. He cared about every staff member, from the interns to the camera operators." But perhaps the most touching tributes came from his daughter, Katie. In a quiet statement, she said, "To the world, he was Jerry Springer. To me, he was Dad. He was the man who believed in me when the world saw only my disabilities. His greatest legacy isn't the show. It's the love he left behind." Katie has continued to honor her father's memory in her own way. While she avoids public attention, she has participated in events supporting causes that were close to Jerry's heart, including community service programs and charities for children. She has also spoken about his private side. "People don't realize how funny he was at home, or how thoughtful. He used to tell me, 'Take life seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously.' I carry that with me every day." Today, Jerry Springer is remembered not only for the outrageous television that made him famous, but also for the warmth, humility, and humor that defined his offstage life. His legacy lives on in his daughter, Katie, who embodies the resilience, empathy, and kindness that Jerry valued most. As Povich summed up, "Jerry's story wasn't really about fights and drama. It was about understanding people. That's what Katie carries forward. That's his true legacy." Jerry Springer's story was never just about staged fights and shocking reveals. His life was a tapestry of contradictions, a man who made a career out of broadcasting chaos, yet off-screen lived with kindness, humility, and a fierce devotion to his family. Beyond the spectacle, Jerry also broke new ground in television. He opened the door for a new generation of talk shows, from Maury to Steve Wilkos, and his willingness to tackle taboos gave a platform to voices that were rarely heard on daytime TV. Whether you loved or criticized his show, you couldn't deny its influence. Even comedians and late-night hosts credited Jerry with reshaping television. As one critic said, "Without Springer, reality TV as we know it would look completely different." And through it all, Jerry never forgot his roots in law and politics, reminding people that his job was less about scandal and more about human stories. But perhaps his most enduring legacy isn't on the screen. It lives on in his daughter, Katie Springer. She embodies his compassion, his resilience, and his sense of humor. In her, Jerry's values of empathy and perseverance continue quietly, long after the studio lights dimmed. So what do you think? Is Jerry Springer's true legacy the groundbreaking, if controversial, talk show that made him famous, or the love and values he passed down to his daughter, which continue to inspire today? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed uncovering the real story behind the headlines, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the lives behind the legends.